Hey everyone, it's Charlie with Great Legal Marketing, and we have another really important topic that we're going to address today, and today's topic is going to be the phones. Now, the phones are a very important element in any law firm and frankly in any business because it is the frontline communication module for when customers want to contact you. Now, phones are even more important in law firms because people don't buy your product online unless you're selling simple wills through your website or something. So they call you to start their customer engagement. And by the way, even if they fill out an online chat form or a contact form, the ultimate way that you're going to get a client is by calling them, not by exchanging emails back and forth. So discussing the phones is a very important element to ensure marketing success, because here's one of the great dangers. You generate all these incredible leads using the marketing strategies you've learned from us, and then they all fall dead as soon as someone calls your law firm because your phones are not, as we like to say, fixed. We want to talk about fixing your phones. And the first way to fix your phones is simply by observing the fact that phones are important to your practice. So let's go through the steps of the phones being answered so that way you can turn more of those leads into actual clients. So the phone goes ring, ring. This is something that we all want to have happen. So what actually happens when someone calls? If I were to sit down in a one-on-one consultation with you right now, could you tell me the exact process by which your phone is answered? Could you tell me who is answering? Could you tell me what they say when the phone is answered? Could you tell me the procedure for putting someone on hold to move them to an attorney, to an intake specialist, or is the receptionist handling intake? Could you give me that exact process? If you do not have a process in place, that's where you start. That's an easy, quick win. By simply manufacturing a process and dictating this is how our phones will be answered, you are starting to fix the problem. Let's go deeper than that, okay? So let's start with who is answering the phone. This is a very important element in answering the phones properly and converting more of those callers into actual clients and cash for your practice. If the person answering the phone is someone who has a ton of other responsibilities and every time they pick up the phone, they just kind of are bored and they're typing on their computer and they have other things to do and, oh yeah, okay. That's going to be your number one problem right there. The phones are so important that they require someone who is dedicated, whose first priority is answering the phones and doing intake for the practice. Yes, they may be doing other things. They may be doing some paralegal work, they may be doing some administrative work for you, but ultimately there should be someone who is held completely accountable for the intake itself. Someone who, when the phone rings, everything else stops, they answer, and they get that person's information. Also, the person who is answering should be answering with a smile on their face. If you have droopy dog answering your phones, you're gonna have clients who tend to get into battles with the person answering the phone because that negativity gets reflected back and forth and compounds until you just have a terrible customer service situation. Think critically about who is answering your phones and make it a priority. Next up, how do you actually improve the experience? And this is kind of combined with the why does the etiquette matter. So let's talk about the why real quick. Why etiquette matters is because when someone calls you, they are thinking about actually hiring you. They may not be all the way there yet. They may be just kind of doing some of their research, but you've made the list. You've made the list of the top 3, top 5, top 10 attorneys they want to talk to about their issue. So all of a sudden you have an opportunity to sell. And if the first thing that someone hears is a negative expression from the person answering the phone, they've already made the determination, well, I'm pretty sure I'm 90% less likely to actually use this law firm because I don't want to have a bad experience. I'm already dealing with a legal issue. That's no fun. Why would I want to deal with someone who is not particularly pleasant? So etiquette is important because it is your first line of sales. Now, you don't necessarily have to tell the person answering the phones that it's sales that they're doing. It can be called customer service or proper phone etiquette, but the real end goal here is to actually sell the client to show up at an appointment and ultimately to sign on the dotted line. And getting people to sign on the dotted line is a process that starts when the phone rings and only ends until their case is completed. It's an entire process, and this is the very beginning of all of it. So how do you actually improve the experience? Again, the number one thing is just observing the experience. You should be recording your calls. You can do that through calltrackingmetrics.com. You can buy recorded tracking phone numbers, a very important tool in your practice, and listen to those calls. Listen to when potential clients are not pleased with the interaction, and also listen for when they are pleased. And then start writing down the moments when they are pleased and make that part of your script. And then write down the moments where they are not pleased, so that way you can address that with your team. For example, say, it seems that when you all enter into this particular line of questioning, it tends to be too early in the call. You don't have a rapport established. We need to create some empathy before you start asking such technical questions. Now here's the good news. Linda over here asked this one particular question that seems to delight and lighten up the entire mood of the call, allowing her to get the best information from the technical questions. So we're just going to copy Linda's question across the board for everyone who answers the phone. So start just observing what is going on in your office that works, and maybe take a few phone calls yourself and start working on the process and writing out what worked for you and write out what didn't work for you. Look, the simple fact here is that your phones are an essential function of your practice. They are your number one conversion tool, and not treating them like that is deadly. You are leaving money on the board right now because you are not paying attention to how the phone is answered. So start by observing how it is currently answered. Take the pieces that you have that work, push them up, and take the bad elements and push them away. And make sure you do have the right person answering the phone. All right, thanks for watching. If you want to discover how to drive more potential clients to call your practice and learn more lead generation strategies to make it happen, check out the URL below to find out how you can get 2 months of free membership with Great Legal Marketing, where you will also discover important lead generation strategies that will get those phones ringing for you. Check out the URL below right now.